Calories. What a calorie actually is. People treat calories like microscopic ingredients hiding inside food. They are not. Calorie is simply a measurement. It measures energy the exact same way a mile measures physical distance. Scientists originally defined 1 calorie as the exact amount of energy required to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. The nutrition labels on food in the United States actually display kilocalories, but they still call them calories. That tiny labeling shortcut has confused millions of people for decades. When you eat pizza, your body is merely collecting stored chemical energy. That energy powers absolutely everything. Your brain alone consumes 20% of your daily energy, despite being a tiny fraction of your weight. Calories are never inherently good or bad. They are just raw fuel. How that fuel affects you entirely depends on what your body actually requires at that exact moment. Stock market. What interest rates and the stock market actually mean? Interest rates are constantly described as the price of borrowing money, but they actually influence almost every single hidden part of the American economy. When the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, borrowing becomes instantly more expensive. Families suddenly think twice before buying a house or a car. Businesses become far more cautious about expanding because commercial loans cost more. A single percentage point change ripples through millions of financial decisions without most people ever noticing. Meanwhile, the stock market is not simply a scoreboard showing whether companies are successful today. Stock prices strictly reflect what investors believe those specific companies will earn in the future. This is exactly why markets sometimes rise during difficult economic times or fall despite incredibly strong headlines. The most surprising fact is that raw human emotions, like fear and blind optimism, can move trillions of dollars in a single trading day. Markets are always driven by economic fundamentals colliding directly with human psychology every single day. Lithium batteries. How lithium batteries actually work. Every time you charge your phone, you are not filling it with electricity, like pouring water into an empty bottle. Instead, a lithium battery simply stores energy by moving tiny ions between 2 internal materials called electrodes. During charging, the ions travel in one direction. When you actually use your device, they reverse course. This exact chemical process releases the energy that powers everything from your smartphone to massive electric vehicles. It can repeat thousands of times before the battery noticeably degrades. But batteries relentlessly age even when you are not using them. Heat, frequent full charges, and complete 0% discharges silently reduce their maximum capacity over time. That is exactly why experts highly recommend keeping your battery somewhere between 20 and 80%, whenever practical. Following that simple mathematical rule helps the battery stay incredibly healthy for years rather than just mere months. Touch screens. How touch screens know where your finger is. Your phone does not actually feel your finger physically pressing on the glass. The screen is not looking for pressure at all. Most modern smartphones use capacitive touchscreens, which continuously maintain an invisible electrical field completely across the display. Because your body naturally conducts electricity, touching the screen slightly distorts that electrical field. Thousands of microscopic sensors instantly detect the exact location of that tiny distortion. The internal processor then converts it into a tap or swipe in mere milliseconds. That entire complex mathematical process happens so unbelievably quickly that your brain experiences it as completely effortless. This perfectly explains why regular winter gloves immediately fail. Standard fabric heavily insulates your finger, blocking the electrical connection unless the gloves contain conductive threads. Every single smooth gesture you make is really an invisible electrical conversation between your body and microscopic sensors hidden beneath the glass. Wi-Fi and 5G. How wireless networks really work. It feels like videos and messages simply materialize out of thin air. They do not. Both wireless networks and cellular data rely entirely on carefully controlled radio waves, physically carrying digital information. Every single photo you send is first shattered into tiny encrypted packets of data. Those packets travel as radio signals between your device, nearby antennas, and the internet before being perfectly reassembled. The entire journey happens in fractions of a second, which makes this staggeringly complex system feel invisible. Although both technologies use radio frequencies, they solve different problems. Networks connect devices over short distances inside buildings. Meanwhile, cellular towers are engineered for wide-area mobile coverage with much lower latency. The most surprising reality is, your phone is constantly switching between frequencies and transmission methods, just to maintain the connection. It jumps between invisible networks, hundreds of times a day, seamlessly managing the chaos without you ever noticing a single dropped signal. GPS. How GPS knows where you are. It feels like absolute magic when your phone instantly pinpoints your precise location anywhere on Earth. But the tracking system does not actually know where you are. It never asks. Instead, a network of satellites continuously orbits Earth, strictly broadcasting precise time signals. Your phone listens to several of those signals simultaneously and calculates exactly how long each one took to arrive. By comparing those microscopic time differences, your device determines your exact position through a mathematical process called trilateration. The satellites are just incredibly accurate clocks floating in space. They transmit timestamps using onboard atomic clocks, and your phone quietly solves the geometric puzzle. The precision required is genuinely terrifying. If the timing is off by just 1 billionth of a second, your calculated location shifts by about 1 entire foot. Modern navigation does not rely on tracking your own physical movements. It completely relies on mastering the measurement of absolute time. See search engines. How search engines rank results. When you type a question into Google, it does not race across the internet looking for answers in real time. It already has the answers. Companies spend years actively crawling billions of pages and organizing them into an enormous index. The network real job is simply sorting through that digital library in milliseconds and predicting which page is most useful. That prediction is not based on a single secret formula. It depends on hundreds of interconnected ranking signals. Some signals measure if a page matches your exact words, while others evaluate speed, freshness, and overall reputation. The original breakthrough was recognizing that links from other websites functioned like votes of confidence. But today, the system is far more aggressive. The most surprising reality is that two people searching the exact same phrase will very often see completely different results. Personalization, physical location, and search context heavily manipulate what appears first. You are rarely seeing the entire objective internet. You are merely seeing a customized mirror, algorithms. How recommendation algorithms know what you want to watch. When streaming apps perfectly suggest your next video, they are not reading your mind. They are doing high-speed pattern matching. These algorithms analyze terrifying amounts of personal data. They aggressively track what you watch, how long you linger, what you deliberately skip, and even which specific thumbnails finally make you pause scrolling. But the system does not actually understand your true preferences. It just calculates what millions of other people with your exact behavioral habits clicked on next. Your individual watch history is merely one piece of a massive, constantly shifting global puzzle. Because the network continuously learns from everyone simultaneously, a single unexpected click can permanently alter your future recommendations. Every single choice you make quietly teaches the machine a little bit more about your psychological triggers. This creates a relentless, inescapable feedback loop. The algorithm subtly influences exactly what you decide to watch today, and your choices dictate exactly how it ruthlessly captures your vulnerable attention again tomorrow. How artificial intelligence actually works. It feels like sheer magic because it writes essays, creates art, and holds conversations that sound remarkably human. But modern software does not actually think. It entirely lacks basic common sense. Instead, these complex systems learn by aggressively analyzing unfathomable amounts of scraped data and identifying hidden linguistic patterns. Those patterns allow the machine to mathematically predict the most likely response to your specific input. They are just incredibly skilled statistical prediction engines, trained through endless repetition. This technology suddenly leaped forward when massive computing power and deep neural networks finally became practical. But there is a very dangerous illusion built in. A model can easily produce answers that sound terrifyingly confident while still being completely factually wrong. It does this because raw fluency is never the same thing as genuine understanding. The machine expertly knows what a correct sentence looks like, but it has absolutely no idea what the words mean. This is exactly why professionals treat this technology as a helpful tool, not a completely safe replacement for real human critical thinking today. VPNs and encryption. How secure connections and encryption actually work. Every time you log into your bank, your data travels across public networks that thousands of other people use simultaneously. Without protection, anyone could intercept it. Encryption solves this by fundamentally transforming your readable information into mathematically scrambled data. It appears as complete gibberish, unless the receiver possesses the exact digital key to unlock it. A virtual private network simply adds another specific layer of privacy on top of this. It creates an encrypted tunnel directly between your personal device and a remote server. This securely protects your data on public networks and effectively hides your real address from websites. But it does not make you completely anonymous online. A massive misconception is that this software magically encrypts the entire internet for you. It does not. It only secures the fragile initial connection between your device and the remote server. After that, your true digital identity still follows you absolutely everywhere you go. Gut microbiome. How your gut microbiome controls your mood. For decades, scientists firmly believed your brain was entirely responsible for your emotions. They were wrong. Another major player was secretly hiding in plain sight. Trillions of bacteria and viruses currently live inside your digestive system, forming the complex gut microbiome. These microbes do not just quietly digest your food. They actively produce chemicals, regulate your immune system, and communicate directly with your brain through the bloodstream and the vagus nerve. Scientists call this continuous dual communication the gut-brain axis. It is completely rewriting how we understand modern mental health. The most surprising discovery is that major chemical neurotransmitters, including serotonin, are largely manufactured in your gut. They significantly influence your internal, broader communication networks, deeply affecting your physical stress responses and baseline emotional health. Modern studies strongly associate shifting gut bacteria with severe conditions like anxiety, clinical depression, and obesity. What once seemed like a simple internal plumbing system is actually one of the most powerful control centers, dictating exactly how you think and feel every day of your entire life. Anaesthesia. What anesthesia does to your brain and how memory works. You count backward from 10. You barely reach 7. Suddenly, you wake up in recovery, feeling like zero time has passed. General anesthesia is not sleep. It is a medically induced disruption of the neural networks that allow your brain to exchange information. It prevents the coordinated activity required for conscious awareness. A major misconception is that anesthesia erases your memories. It does not. Instead, it temporarily blocks your hippocampus from converting new experiences into lasting memories while you are unconscious. Your brain never records the surgery, so those hours simply never become part of your personal timeline. Before ether was introduced in the 19th century, surgeons had to perform operations as quickly as humanly possible to minimize overwhelming pain. Modern anesthesia completely transformed medicine, allowing for complex, life-saving procedures that take hours. But the most fascinating lesson is what anesthesia reveals about reality. You can remain alive while your brain temporarily loses the ability to produce awareness. When you wake up, your sense of time instantly resumes. This proves Memory is not a video recording. It is just a carefully constructed story your brain continuously builds in the dark.